Good morning, everyone. How are you? Welcome to April and welcome to the Special Ed Department meeting in April. If you're starting at the top of the document, you can just click on April. It will bring you right down to where I'm at. All right, let's get started with a mood meter. I am going to ask one of you in your department meeting there to pick one. And the other day, we use this in our low incidence department meeting. I'm going to show you which one we picked. We picked Judge Judy. I watch Judge Judy. I like Judge Judy. Funny, funny. So when you're thinking about one that you're picking in your group or the one I have displayed here, what quadrant are you in? How are you feeling? The other day in low incidence, I was between a blue and a green, a 1 and a 3. I was like a 2.5. How are you feeling here in your department meeting? All right. Excuse me. Let's get started. All right. Item number 1, Special Education Advisory Council, SEEK. Did you know that every district in Minnesota does need to have SEEK? It is in Minnesota statute, and it requires every district to have that Special Education Advisory Council. And SpEd has assumed that responsibility on behalf of the member districts. So we have one for all of us, and I help facilitate that in partnership with Tia and our families. All right, it does need to be comprised of parents and educators, and at least half of our members should be parents with children that have disabilities. Most importantly, though, this group and our SEEK here in SpEd and our member districts, we are committed to working collaboratively with us as special education administration, with our parents, with our teachers, and our goal is to improve communication, support parent involvement in that special education decision making, and just continuing to enhance our system and services as we meet the needs of our learners with disabilities. I did send out an email, about a week and a half ago. SEEK is going to be hosting a night with both of our counties, and that's just going to support our families as well as each of you as our educators in just learning what our systems in our counties have to offer and helping families navigate seeking those resources. So if you have not sent the flyer out to families that might benefit from this information, I do ask that you just get this sent out to families. It's coming up on April 23rd. It will be held at SpEd. And we're asking people to register just so we know how many individuals we need to accommodate. So I appreciate that partnership and making sure our families know about this opportunity. All right, item 2, state testing. MCAs and MTES, we're in that season. You're probably in that season already. And if you haven't started that, you have some time to just ensure we have things in place. All IEP teams need to consider if accommodations are necessary for each learner and if those accommodations are appropriate and covered for the covered IEP meeting year. So what I am asking teams to think about as they make these decisions in IEP team meetings is what is our learner used to on a daily basis? Does the learner get pulled out for math tests regularly and typically? Do they stay with their peers and test in that big space? Now, we know there are some accommodations, like if we have a learner that has a visual impairment and needs very specific accommodations, we're not going to really have a choice of where that takes place. But for a lot of learners, that is a decision and something the IEP team should be considering. Okay, so you have to identify the assessments that are going to be administered during the time frame of the IEP and document any accommodations or modifications that they might need to complete that assessment that's similar to what they've been doing during that IEP. We do have resources, so as always, I'm going to share the resources here. You can go to CMR, just click on that link that I'm sharing here. And then let's talk about MTAS a little bit. I've had some questions about MTAS this year, and there is guidance. So if you click on here and we're thinking about when is MTAS appropriate, all right, so you're going to come to this resource. You're going to be looking at the following requirements, but it is appropriate for the students that have significant cognitive disabilities. The MTAS is not dependent on programming a student needs, but ultimately, what is that cognitive need and disability, and then working through some of these questions. And we have linked here the requirements from the Minnesota Department of Education. So I encourage teams that are considering the MTAS to be reviewing this before you're sitting down at the IEP meeting, so you have that determination and you can share the why with your families. All right. The Teacher Advisory Council that meets before SEEK, they brought up some questions last year that I'm going to bring forward for you to talk about in your department meetings as you review this agenda. So we're curious, what percentage of students in your building receive MCA accommodations? Just a curiosity, you can share that with your supervisor. And something for you to all be thinking about and having some discussion about is, how are we ensuring the provision of services for our learners that have an IEP, while some of your team members or yourselves might be proctoring MCA tests? We need to ensure we are continuing to provide our students with what they need and what those IEP provisions are. So, something to consider and talk about as a team. What does that look like for you in your building? All right, we're going to talk about SIMP again. I brought it up last month. I let you know that we had just finished and that we were looking at information, getting information out to everyone. And really, just a reminder, it's an opportunity for us to provide meaningful feedback to each of you as case managers regarding your due process paperwork. It helps us gauge the health of our system in terms of that due process. And I know this creates a lot of feelings. I have spoken to many of you, not all of you, but I am seeking out your input because that is really important to me. I'm just going to jump down here for a minute, but I do want your input. I want to hear from you, your thoughts about SIMP. I want to know if it impacts your practice. I want to know if it's helpful. So if you haven't completed that survey that I sent out on March 21st, please just click on the link and complete the survey, because I am seeking that. I want to understand how it impacts you at the building level and all of those pieces. Very important. I shared out in that email the results. I created a slide deck this year, so you can access this here if you don't want to go back to that email. But overall results are, we reviewed 133 IEPs or IFSPs. Our average score across all of our member districts was a 3.6 out of 4, and overall quality was also a 3.6. The goal in the past has been a 3.2, so pat yourselves on the back, but also know this is a snapshot in time. I don't want people to get hung up on scores. You can give me that feedback if the score is a difficult thing for you, because the reality is that's difficult for many of you. All right? Just acknowledging that. The area that we really need to continue to grow, that we have two areas, to continue our growth. That is progress monitoring and transition needs. So when our kids are reaching transition age. So those are going to be continue to be areas that we start to target a little bit differently We're going to drip some of that learning next year in our department meetings here and continue to grow and learn together and to improve those areas of understanding. All right, item 4, ESY. It's coming up sooner than later. So anyone that has not resolved more data needed, you're going to see on this department meeting that the due date is today. Yep, I'm a little late at sending this out, so I apologize. So you need to resolve that more data needed. That decision needs to be made, and you need to determine if they qualify for ESY in order to maintain that progress over the summer. We have many resources. We have Case Manager Resources website. We have your colleagues and mentors, school psychs in your buildings. Services coordinators are more than happy to support and guide, as well as your special services supervisor. So if you have questions, we know this is new for many of you, please reach out for support, and we are more than happy to talk through that. All right, item 5, low incidence. So we want to continue to support all of our learners, and our low incidence team has been working on some resources and guidance, which is always exciting because why create things on your own when we can share resources? So there are some transition related present levels, goals, and rating skills that have been developed and added from the TRACS rubric library. So if you go to this link here, it's going to take you to a site, and I will share my tab. All right. So if we go over here, one example is if you go to daily living, motor, and employability, and you click on templates. Let me share this tab. We're going to scroll down, and all of these links that say tracks, be personally organized. So those are resources for you. It's going to bring us here, and then if you click here, it's going to bring you to another resource. Here we go. All right. So then you can have some data collection and rating scales. So we just want to make you aware of that resource. As you have time to take a peek at that, we hope it is helpful. They're also working on a social narrative bank. You can click here for a specific example, which is recess time. These are generic, so if you are finding yourself in a pinch and you can't create a specific one for your learner, you are able to then go to this resource and find a bank. So if we go under daily living skills on our website, and we scroll down here, you're going to find social narratives right here. So there's a master folder. Take time and go and look at these. These are good for so many of our learners. One of the things about social narratives is how you word them and present them is so important. You're going to want to create your social narratives in a way that's positive and shares with our learner what they should be doing or how they might be feeling in a positive manner. So I really encourage you to take time and look at those. And it's just a great resource and a great guide. All right. If you have questions, please reach out to Christine or Nell. They do want to support you in this area, and they are here to support. All right, last item of the day, ECSE Part C. We want to share the rollout of a new department. Excuse me. So administrative authority is being transferred from the Minnesota Department of Education to the Department of Children, Youth, and Families. To best understand the shift, along with me, MDE has provided a brief overview that I have linked here for you, as well as an FAQ. I found the FAQ the most helpful for me as I continue to learn alongside you as this shift takes place. So today, no action needed. We're just letting you know that this is rolling out and this is happening. And it does not impact how schools are supporting Part C. We will continue to be supporting our families. We will be continuing to have ECSE teachers and related services in Part C, and the schools in Minnesota are a huge part of that. Okay? So, if you want any additional information, I also linked their website here, so you're welcome to go and take a peek at that. And that's what we have for today. So, as you guys head into next week, where you're going to be having most of your department meetings, I just wish you well. I hope you have a great week. I just can't believe that April's already here. And I hope you have just the best week. All right. Enjoy. Great to talk with you, even though I can't see your faces at this very moment.